There is now a petition to remove Sophie Cunningham from the WNBA. There is now a petition to remove her from the WNBA. Yeah. Yeah. It has 114 signatures.
What does it take to become a superstar overnight? For Sophie Cunningham, it wasn't a game-winning shot or viral highlight, it was defending the most talked-about rookie in basketball. Caitlin Clark. One foul turned into a firestorm. A petition demanded Sophie be banned. The internet split in two. And while the league stayed silent, Sophie didn't flinch. No apology, no backpedal, just grit, swagger, and a jersey that sold out in hours. She didn't just survive the backlash, turned it into fuel. This is the story of how Sophie Cunningham went from enforcer to icon in one unforgettable moment. It started with a foul, but not just any foul. Caitlin Clark, already the most scrutinized rookie in the WNBA, was charging up the court when J.C. Sheldon stepped in with more than just defense. It was physical, it was aggressive, and it was personal. Clark hit the floor. No whistle, no flagrant, just silence from the officials, like they'd seen nothing at all. Fans were stunned. Commentators blinked. Social media lit up in real time with freeze frames and outrage. But what happened next changed everything. From the sidelines, Sophie Cunningham didn't hesitate. She locked in like a missile and met the chaos head-on. Her response wasn't subtle. It wasn't diplomatic. It was decisive. A shoulder check, a message, a warning. This wasn't just about basketball. It was about sending a signal. You touch my teammate, you deal with me. The clip exploded online. Some praised Sophie's loyalty. Others screamed dirty play. But no one looked away. The moment instantly split the internet. Was she protecting her teammate? Or was she the league's new villain? The WNBA remained quiet. No immediate statement. No post-game clarification. Just the image of Caitlin on the floor, Sophie standing tall, and a crowd trying to make sense of it all. For fans of Indiana, for anyone who watched Clark get bumped, scratched, and slammed for weeks with zero consequence, Sophie's move felt like long overdue justice. But for others, especially those who had already written their own narrative about Sophie, this was all the proof they needed to start a campaign against her. A petition began circulating, calling for her removal from the Ligas if she'd stormed the court as a supervillain instead of standing up for her team. And just like that, Sophie Cunningham wasn't just a name on a roster. She was the headline, the controversy, the center of a brand new firestorm. When most players get caught in controversy, they go quiet. Release a statement, apologize, hide out. But Sophie Cunningham, she flipped the script, then set it on fire. As the petition calling for her removal gained traction, most expected damage. Control, a press release, a soft interview, maybe even a tearful social media post. What they got instead was pure digital fireworks. Sophie didn't explain herself. She didn't deny the moment. She didn't flinch. She responded with one savage move. A retweet of a post announcing her jersey was completely sold out. No caption, no explanation, just a viral mic drop. And just like that, the narrative shifted. It wasn't just petty, it was tactical. Her silence wasn't avoidance, it was dominance. While the petition gathered a couple hundred signatures, Sophie's jersey sales were racking up by the thousands. The same people who tried to cancel her were giving her the best free marketing. Campaign the WNBA had seen all season, and Sophie. She knew exactly what she was doing. Her Instagram shrug post added fuel. Her retweets, surgical. Every move was a reminder. She wasn't just playing defense on the court, she was owning the moment online. While critics frothed at the mouth, she posted highlight reels. While they accused, she went viral. While they tried to cancel her, she sold out arenas. This wasn't damage control, it was brand control, and the fans responded. Spicy Sophie started trending. Memes flooded TikTok and X. Even casual sports watchers, who didn't care about the WNBA last week, suddenly knew exactly who Sophie Cunningham was. The jersey retweet became a symbol. She wasn't sorry, and she wasn't stepping back. Critics expected remorse. Instead, they got receipts. Her rise wasn't built on apologies, it was built on momentum. Sophie understood something most athletes miss. In the age of social media, silence isn't strength. Swagger is, and she had plenty of it. But if you thought a sold-out jersey and a viral retweet were the end of her retaliation. You clearly don't know Sophie, because the next move made the league stop pretending it wasn't watching. By now, everyone had seen the footage Caitlin Clark on the receiving end of a hard foul. Sophie Cunningham stepping in with zero hesitation, and then silence from the league. No technical, no ejection, no statement, just business as usual. But here's the thing, it wasn't business as usual, because while the refs kept their whistles tucked away, the double standard on display couldn't have been louder. Caitlin Clark, the WNBA's most-watched rookie, had been taking hits all season, cheap shots, shoves, elbows, eye pokes. Game after game, the officials swallowed their whistles like the rulebook didn't apply to her. And when fans complained, they were told it was just physical basketball. But the moment Sophie Cunningham pushed back, suddenly, the league had its villain. That's the bias everyone started talking about. How can a rookie be body-checked from the three-point line to the baseline with no consequence, but the second her teammate defends her? That's when it becomes an issue. It wasn't just about one moment. It was a pattern, and fans noticed. Clips began circulating of previous games, showing Clark getting knocked to the ground with barely a blink from the refs. And when Sophie got involved, it wasn't out of nowhere. It was the culmination of weeks of uncalled fouls, blatant contact, and media gaslighting. And let's talk about those referees. Traffic cones with whistles. They saw the eye rake, they saw the shove, they saw Caitlin on the ground, stunned, and they still did nothing. Until Twitter lit up, until ESPN segments started questioning the calls. That's when, days later, the league retroactively upgraded the fouls. Not because they cared, but because the internet demanded it. This wasn't player protection, it was public relations. Meanwhile, Sophie had become the lightning rod, the scapegoat, the one player daring to draw a line in a league that pretended everything was fine. And because she didn't apologize, because she didn't fold, she became the easy target. The league didn't want to address the broken officiating. It wanted to make an example out of someone who wouldn't play nice. But Sophie didn't break. She doubled down. She kept playing hard. She kept defending. And she kept watching her popularity skyrocket, because fans weren't stupid. They saw the clips, they saw the silence, they saw the double standard, and they chose a side. And as the league kept fumbling the optics, Sophie kept making headlines. But her most defining moment, that was still to come. There's a difference between playing for stats and playing for someone. What Sophie Cunningham did wasn't about a scoreboard, it was about Caitlin Clark. And that's why it hit different. Caitlin had become the face of the WNBA, almost overnight, filling arenas, driving TV ratings, and putting the league in headlines that reached beyond sports. But with that spotlight came a target. Night after night, she took elbows to the ribs, shoulders to the face, and shoves that would be flagged in any other league. And what did the officials do? Nothing. What did the league say? Crickets. So Sophie stepped in. The moment she charged in to defend Caitlin, it wasn't about fouls, it was about sending a message. This is done. She's not alone anymore. That kind of loyalty, raw, unscripted, and physical, resonated far beyond the hardwood. It wasn't just a hard foul, it was a breaking point, and it turned Sophie from a role player into a folk hero. Within hours, her name was trending. Her highlights were all over TikTok. Fans who didn't even know which team she played for were tweeting "Spicy Sophie" like it was gospel. But more importantly, her jersey sold out in every size, across every platform, and not just because of what she did, but because of why she did it. It wasn't a publicity stunt. It wasn't calculated. It was instinct, and it struck a nerve. In a league where physicality is policed unevenly and personalities are often sanitized, Sophie's raw response felt human. She wasn't trying to build a brand. She was trying to protect a teammate, and that made her brand stronger than any PR team ever could. She didn't ask for the spotlight, but when it hit her, she didn't blink. She owned it. Suddenly, Sophie wasn't just a player. She was the player, the one who stood up when no one else would, the one who said, with her body, what the league refused to say with words: Caitlin deserves protection. And let's be real, loyalty like that is rare, especially in pro sports. Fans gravitated to Sophie not just because she was tough, but because she was real. No spin, no fake outrage, just a shoulder check, a viral smirk, and a message the whole league could hear. You mess with her, you mess with me. And just like that, Sophie went from teammate to movement. But what she did next proved she wasn't done shaking the system. When the cancel machine fired up against Sophie Cunningham, it looked like the script was writing itself. A viral foul, a swarm of think pieces, a petition demanding her removal from the WNBA. For most athletes, that's the cue to lie low, call a PR rep, issue an apology, and hope the storm passes. But Sophie, she laughed. Literally, she was mid-lunge during warm-ups when the petition started circulating. Instead of hiding, she retweeted the very post calling for her cancellation with a smile and a subtle flex that her jersey had just sold out. It was savage, it was strategic. And it was something cancel culture hadn't seen before. A woman who refused to flinch. Sophie didn't issue a denial. She didn't try to soften the narrative. She amplified it. She took the label of villain and turned it into a badge of honor. While critics scrawled their way through outrage, Sophie built an army. Every angry tweet turned into another highlight reel. Every signature on the petition drove another spike in jersey sales. She wasn't just surviving cancel culture, she was feeding off it. And here's why it worked. She was honest. There was no mask, no filter, just Sophie being Sophie. Gritty, loyal, fearless, the kind of player who doesn't back down when things get ugly, and the kind of woman who doesn't beg for approval when the internet turns cold. That authenticity is rare, and in today's world, it's magnetic. What her critics failed to realize was this: people are tired of fake apologies. They're tired of forced outrage and corporate statements. They want real. Sophie gave them real. She wasn't perfect, she was relatable. She made a split-second decision to defend her teammate, and when the internet came for her, she didn't fold. She doubled down, made it funny, made it fearless, and suddenly, the storm they thought would bury her turned into a stage. She became a symbol, not just for toughness, but for unapologetic identity, for owning your choices, for standing tall when people try to shrink you, and in doing so, she exposed something bigger. Cancel culture can't touch someone who's not afraid of being canceled, and that's why. Sophie won. She didn't play the game the internet expected. She played her own, and while they tried to drag her down, she rose up with viral swagger, full arenas, and a growing legend. But as her popularity surged and her enemies watched in disbelief, Sophie's transformation was far from over. The league had just made her its most dangerous player, one with nothing to lose. Sophie Cunningham was never meant to be the center of the story. She wasn't the no-one draft pick. She wasn't the face on billboards or the player handpicked to carry the league's brand. But when the league refused to protect Caitlin Clark, ignored the foul that sparked national debate, they accidentally lit the fuse that turned Sophie into the main character. But the silence that followed, that was deafening. No post-game statement, no referee accountability, no real consequences for the players who initiated the chaos. In that vacuum, Sophie's voice, her actions, her sarcasm, her unfiltered presence became the one fans rallied around. The league didn't crown her, they created her. Because every time the WNBA tried to downplay the moment, Sophie amplified it. Her highlight reels were louder than the officials. Her sold-out jerseys outpaced the headlines, and her refusal to be polite in the face of hypocrisy made her unforgettable. She wasn't playing for points anymore. She was playing for principle. And that made her dangerous in the best way, because now, every time she steps on the court, people are watching, not just for her skills, but for what she represents: loyalty, grit, and the courage to call out the system by simply not backing down. But what came next wasn't just viral, it was cultural. Sophie Cunningham wasn't just trending, she was transforming. Sophie Cunningham didn't just gain fans, she sparked a movement. What started as a simple act of defense turned into something much bigger. She became a symbol of what the WNBA had been missing: a player unafraid to get physical, emotional, and unapologetically real. Her rise wasn't built on sponsorship deals or curated social media posts. It was built on raw instinct, loyalty, and a refusal to be silenced. She became the protector of the league's biggest star, but also the voice of every viewer who felt the inconsistencies, who saw the bias, who wanted someone say enough. Sophie didn't just say it, she embodied it. Every shoulder check, every retweet, every viral moment was a challenge to the system, and fans loved her for it. And it wasn't just Fever loyalists backing her. It was casual sports fans, first-time viewers, even people who never cared about the WNBA before Caitlin Clark entered the scene. Now they were tuning in, not just for Clark, but for the woman standing beside her, gloves off, ready for whatever came next. Sophie didn't ask to be a hero. But in a league struggling to balance entertainment with fairness, she stepped into a role no one else dared to fill. The enforcer with heart, the teammate with teeth, the unexpected icon. And while others play to stay safe, Sophie plays to make a statement. One foul didn't make her famous, it revealed who she already was. Sophie Cunningham didn't chase fame, it found her the moment. She stood up for Caitlin Clark in a league desperate for authenticity. She delivered raw emotion, fearless loyalty, and a refusal to play by silent rules. They tried to cancel her, but instead they crowned her. Fans didn't just watch, they rallied. Because Sophie wasn't defending just a teammate, she was defending fairness, toughness, and the soul of the game. One viral moment turned into a movement. One foul created a folk hero. And now, Sophie Cunningham isn't just part of the WNBA story. She is the story.